Realtors in Southeast Pennsylvania, specifically those that serve Delaware County, Chester County, and Montgomery County. We all belong to the same association. I did some research recently and wanted to get an idea of the productivity level of the realtors that serve those three counties. So I asked our association for if we have any kind of production information out there of our membership, and they didn't have any, they didn't maintain any, but they could provide me the number of members and affiliates that we have in our association. So we have approximately 9,600 members and affiliates in our three county association. I then went to Bright MLS and I asked them, since I was directed to them by the association to get production information, I went to Bright MLS and said, can you give me a list of all the agents in our association and what their production numbers were? And they quickly provided me a beautiful detailed list of the production of all the realtors in those three counties. So they're members of our association, which is kind of redundant because you have to be a realtor to be on our association. So then I started gathering that information and started doing some analysis. And I wanted you to see and understand realtors in Southeast Pennsylvania, specifically those that serve Delaware County, Chester County, and Montgomery County. We all belong to the same association. I did some research recently and wanted to get an idea of the productivity level of the realtors that serve those three counties. So I asked our association for if we have any kind of production information out there of our membership, and they didn't have any, they didn't maintain any, but they could provide me the number of members and affiliates that we have in our association. So we have approximately 9,600 members and affiliates in our three county association. I then went to Bright MLS and I asked them, since I was directed to them by the association to get production information, I went to Bright MLS and said, can you give me a list of all the agents in our association and what their production numbers were? And they quickly provided me a beautiful detailed list of the production of all the realtors in those three counties. So they're members of our association, which is kind of redundant because you have to be a realtor to be on our association. So then I started gathering that information and started doing some analysis. And I wanted you to see and understand the production level, what's going on in our association, and some questions that you may want to ask both of our association and maybe of our profession about what's going on with where their priorities are. So let's take a look here. Look at this graph. So there's about 9,000 realtors across our three counties, the collar counties of Philadelphia. And I looked at the production from January to August of 2023. This is according to Bright. They provide me the information. That's only realtors because they're the ones that are in an association. And we know that we have to belong to the association to belong to Bright. And the production is based upon the number of transactions. So I looked at the data and I could see that 41% of the members in our association have not done a transaction this year. 17.8% have done one transaction. 10.6% have done two transactions. 18.3% have done 3 to 6 transactions. 5.3% have done 7 to 9 transactions, and 7% have done 10 or more transactions. So when we look at this, breaking it down, 41%, 3,600 of our members in our association have done 0 transactions this year. So if a client were to select a realtor by random, they've got a 4 in 10 chance of getting somebody with no experience. Is that really something that the consumer really wants to have as far as handling their most important asset? And what are these people doing? What are they doing? They're making noise out there. Or they're telling everybody they're a realtor, but they're not getting any business, but they're diluting the pie. You know what they are doing, though. They're paying their dues to the association. So as long as they're paying the dues to the association, and they're probably paying their dues, hopefully, to Bright, so they have access, so they can actually possibly do some work. But what's going on? What are these people doing out there? And what's this as our overall membership in NAR? How many people? I think we can extrapolate all this same information to the state of Pennsylvania, to the national level, as well as I think we can look at every brokerage, and I'll bet you we're going to find similar type of statistics. So let's look a little more deeper. 1,700 of those 9,000 have only done one transaction. So the consumer has a 1 in 5 chance of getting someone with one transaction as experience. What kind of consumer experience is that? We wonder why the consumer gets so frustrated with dealing with realtors, because we have people out there with so little experience. And we don't seem to really care that we're putting people out there with little experience. Or we don't seem to be able to shepherd those people in a way in which that experience can actually become good and these people can get more experience. They've only done one transaction in the entire year. They can't be making a living at this. They'd be starving. How do they get mastery if they can't repeat the experience? 1,000 have done 2 transactions this year. You got 1 in 10 chance of getting someone who's done 2 transactions. Now, that's twice as many as 1 transaction, but as we know, that's not a whole lot of experience given the complexity of real estate transactions and the things that can go wrong and the things you want to prevent to go wrong ahead of time and getting ahead of any kind of problem. Someone with two transactions this year doesn't have that level of experience. What's going on? Who's really caring about these people? Are we just selling them a bill of goods, say, get your real estate license, and they look on the Instagram and they see all these people jetting all around and having a great life being a realtor, and in reality, these people are probably working a couple other jobs? So if I look at the total of those agents or realtors who have done 2 transactions or less, it's about almost 6,000. Almost 6,000 of our members have done 2 transactions or less. 69%. I think that's obscene. That's obscene. It's obscene for us as a profession, and it's obscene that these people are given this false perception they're going to be able to make a living at this stuff, and clearly they can't. No fault of theirs. It's just there's not enough business out there to do so. But we're going to sell them. You know that the brokerages are going to sell them. Come and join us. So Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book called Outliers. And he suggested that you need to do 10,000 hours of some activity to develop mastery. Was 10,000 hours of practicing the guitar, or 10,000 hours of memorizing the Bible, or 10,000 hours of practicing real estate? It doesn't matter. You need a lot of time invested repeatedly to develop mastery. How long is it going to take somebody who's doing 2 transactions or less a year to develop mastery? And in the process, we put them out into the public and we have them go, and they have the same profession name as we do, realtor. And we're going to get lumped in with that. So if we want to look at those that are a little more productive, okay, we've got 18.3% have done 3 to 6 transactions, 5.3% have done 7 to 9 transactions, and 7% have done 10 or more transactions this year. Okay, so 1,700 done 3 to 6 transactions, 500 7 to 9, and 470, a little less than 500, have done 10 or more transactions this year. In our entire 3-county area of 9,000 members, if a consumer selects a realtor at random, they've got a 7 in 10 chance of getting somebody who's done less than 10 transactions. Or actually, let me rephrase this. If you select a realtor, if a consumer selects a realtor, they have a 7 in 100 chance of getting somebody that's done 10 or more transactions a year. And if they've done 10 transactions this year, they probably did 10 transactions last year and the year before, or more. Clearly they've got a business that's got repeatability to it, it's got referrals, they've got a method, they've got a process, they've got experience level. Clearly they must be doing something that is satisfactory to the customer or exceeding the customer's expectations for them to get repeat business. But that's only 7 in 100. So the questions I have for the agent community out there, for the realtor community out there. Okay, we know that we're paying the overhead for the associations and the brokerages. Okay, we as agents, we're paying that. Okay, but the monthly fees seem to be more important than agent production. And especially if you're in a brokerage in which has a cap, then clearly the monthly fees are what's most important, because there's no more company money or company dollar going towards brokerage. Okay, we know that we cannot have access to the MLS without belonging to the local, state, and national associations. So that membership is sort of forced. It's required. It's not a choice. It's only it's only a choice because we want to have access to MLS because we want to do our business. Okay, I think there's a problem with that. You know, the fees cover the overhead, and the incentive is to get more members. And production doesn't matter to the associations. Given the stated goals of the associations to better the profession, okay, how can local, state, and national trade associations accept this lack of experience? Because the profession can only get better by experience, by practicing, by doing. Okay, if we've got a bunch of people out there who can't do, how can they become professionals at it? How can they develop mastery? How can that be the face to the consumer? Okay, if your broker, your association or team, or you cannot get your production to increase, remember, those places care more about your monthly fees to keep them going than the commission that keeps you going, and that maybe the business isn't for you if you can't generate enough income. Okay, you're not serving anybody well. You're not serving yourself well. You're not serving the consumer well. You're just spending money, hoping on maybe, possibly, things are going to change. If you can't do 6 to 9 transactions a year at a minimum, you're going to have a tough time eating. You're going to have a tough time earning a living. I have nothing against people who do, who could say part-time agents. Okay, you can do an effective business as a part-time agent. But if you are doing regular business, if you are doing part-time agent in which you're doing 1 or 2 transactions a year, you're not helping anybody. Okay, the amount of money you have to pay just to stay active is eating into whatever potential revenue you have, and really you're not gaining the knowledge and experience level that serves the consumer properly. The startup and ongoing costs to just have the license and just to do business is understated to new agents entering into the business. I don't think any brokerage is honest and forthright enough to tell people getting into the business just how much you're going to have to spend, how much work you're going to have to do, and how little results or how few results you're going to get for that effort until a period of time really transpires. You have significant costs to join all sorts of associations and groups and marketing and websites and this and that. We all know what those costs are. I don't think that we do a real truthful job to prospective agents, realtors, about really what it takes to get into this business. I think we do a lot of lip service in order to bring someone in because they have a pulse and get them engaged and get them paying their monthly dues. Here's where we're at right now as a profession. I think we need to look at this. I think we need to demand more of our associations that are supposed to be representing our interests. And I question whether or not their interests and our interests as realtors are in alignment. If you like this, give me a like, give me a subscribe, forward this on to other agents you may know. You have a great day out there, and let's just keep on grinding away every day to get our business done. Have a great day.